Hello guys, good evening. Today we talk about macroeconomics. Let's talk about the introduction to the macroeconomics. As we all know, macro means it is a large, in a larger perspective, everything in a larger spectrum. We see in that kind of manner. The same thing, we apply macroeconomics for the larger spectrum, like a nationwide, whole sectors, those kind of things. So if you look at this, the macroeconomics existed years before from the 17th century, 16th centuries onwards. Like there are physiocrats, French thinkers, who attempted to analyze the national revenue, national wealth as a whole. When it comes to the national revenue and national health, national wealth as a whole, from that onwards, macroeconomics started its existence and its evolution. Basically, the whole macroeconomics in a bigger scale, it started at the time of Great Depression, 1930. We, we know the Great Depression of 1930 is the devastating depression in the US. It affected the whole world economics. So at that time, the classical economics theories and many more macro and micro analysis were merged, and there are more formulas and theories are evolved. Within that, macroeconomics is the great thing. And also, John Lord John Maynard Keynes, Lord John Maynard Keynes, he has released a book, General Theory of Employment, Interest and Money in 1936, after the Great Depression. So, in General Theory of Employment, Interest and Money, this book released by Keynes, Lord John Maynard Keynes after the Great Depression, it analyzed the economic problems in a macroeconomic approach. So, Lord Keynes obviously credited with the development of macroeconomic approach. Other economists who have contributed to the development of macroeconomics include Keynes, Malthus, Wicksell, Walras, and Irvis Fisher. These all guys are contributed to the macroeconomics. So here the macroeconomics means we study the entire economy in the macroeconomics. In the macroeconomy, it covers total employment like national income, national production, total investment, total consumption, total savings, general price levels, interest rates, inflation, trade cycles, business fluctuations. As a whole, in the entire economy, we study these points, these analysis we study in the entire economy, not regarding particular individual or individual firm. So, the macroeconomics is defined as the study of aggregates, relationship between large aggregates like employment, total savings, investment, national income, and so on. So, this is the macroeconomics. The scope of macroeconomics, it extends to various levels and various theories. For example, theory of income and employment. At the same time, theory of general price level and inflation. At the same time, theory of economic growth and development. And macro theory of distribution. And theory of consumption function. And same the theory of investment function. And thereby here goes the theory of business cycle. So the scope of macroeconomics has the wider implications and wider scale. For example, from the theory of income and employment, we get the theory of consumption also, we also get the theory of investment function also. By the consumption theory and investment theory, we get the theory of business cycles of various sectors, various individual firms. So, from the scope of macroeconomics, we get all the niche sectors and all the aggregates all the individual firms' capacities. Also, we can analyze in a depth and detailed manner. So, theory of general price level and inflation as a whole economy, theory of economic growth and development, macro theory of distribution. These all comes under the scope of macroeconomics. In macroeconomics, we use it to study income and employment theory, means how much income, output, employment levels are there in the economy, how it fluctuates. These are analysis. We use it to analyze. Same general price level and inflation theory. General price level is established and what causes it price swings, how the price changes. So how inflation affects. These are based on the problems that inflation and deflation cause. We analyze these things in a macroeconomic level. And same growth and development theory. In macroeconomics, reasons of poverty and underdevelopment. And what it also make recommendations for measures to boost growth and development. So whatever the recommendations we need to take the growth and development to increase its development and growth in a detailed manner we study in the macroeconomics. Same macro distribution theory. For example, macroeconomic distribution theory in a national level as an aggregate. For example, rent, labor, interest, profit. These things we analyze in a bigger scale, not in a particular individual. How much rent, labor costs in a national level, in an aggregate level. We call when we analyze these in a bigger scale, we call this as a macro distribution theory. From these we can also get total national income are discussed in the macro theory of distribution. So what are the characteristics of the macroeconomics? Macroeconomic characteristics are based upon mainly first aggregate analysis. Means whenever macroeconomics comes into the picture, we take in an aggregate manner, like entire economy. We consider entire economy while calculating national income. We consider entire economy while calculating national output. We take entire economy while calculating national employment. We take entire economy while calculating general price level. We take entire economy while calculating business cycles. Next, income theory. Macroeconomics is the branch of economics that investigates the idea of national income, its various components, measurement methodologies, and social accounting. Macroeconomics is concerned with aggregate demand and supply. It discusses the cause of national income changes that results in business cycles such as inflation and deflation. So, income theory. Next, general equilibrium analysis. Macroeconomics is concerned with the behavior and functional relationship of huge aggregates. The behavior of demand, supply, and prices throughout the entire economy is the subject of general equilibrium. So, macroeconomics is also concerned with the behavior and functional relationship of huge aggregates. The behavior of demand and supply and price throughout the entire economy is subject to the general equilibrium. Next, interdependence. Macroeconomic analysis considers the interdependence of aggregate economic variables, including income, production, employment, investments, and price levels, among others. Changes in investment, for example, will eventually lead to changes in income, output, employment, and eventually economic growth. So, macroeconomic analysis considers the interdependence. While considering the macroeconomics, there is an interdependence between the aggregate income, production, employment, investment, price levels. There is an interdependence also. And also general equilibrium analysis like this, demand and supply, behavioral, everything. Next, lumping technique. The lumping method examines the entire economy rather than just a portion of it. A forest is an aggregation of trees, Professor Boulding says, but it does not reflect the attributes of an individual tree. This clarifies the distinction between micro and macroeconomics. So macro means lumping technique we consider as an aggregate. as you know. Next, models of growth. Macroeconomics is the study of many elements that influence economic growth and development. It is beneficial in the development of growth models. Economic development is studied using these growth models. The Mahalanobis growth model, for example, placed a premium on core heavy industries. So Mahalanobis growth model, for example, placed a premium on core heavy industries. Models of growth. Next, price level in general. In macroeconomics, the determination and variations in the general price level. Variations in the general price level are explored. The general price level is the average of all prices for products and services generated in the economy at the time. Next, policy focus. Macroeconomics, according to Keynes, is a policy-oriented science. It offers appropriate economic strategies to encourage economic growth, job creation, inflation management, depression, among other things. So, macroeconomics are price level in general and also policy focused. According to Keynes, macroeconomics is a policy oriented science. It offers appropriate economic strategies to encourage economic growth, job creation, inflation management, depression, among other things. Next, we talk about the macroeconomic importance. The importance of macroeconomics while considering economic functions. Like it aids the comprehension of pattern of behavior of aggregate variables in a vast and complicated economic system. Next, economic volatility. Macroeconomic aids in the analysis of the cause of income, output, and employment variations, as well as attempts to manage or mitigate their severity. Next, gross domestic product. The study of national income and social accounts has become increasingly important as a result of macroeconomic research. It is impossible to establish sound economic policy without first conducting a national income analysis. So, economic functioning, economic volatility, gross domestic product, these all are, while considering this, macroeconomic is very important. For example, to calculate the economic growth, economic progress. Being a developing country, we need to calculate our poverty, income and wealth disparities, people's living standards. It makes key recommendations for achieving economic development or economic progress. Next, an economic performance. Macroeconomic aids in the analysis of economic performance. The national income estimates are used to compare the output of goods and services in one period to that of another period in order to assess an economy's performance through time. Next, macroeconomic variable analysis. The study of macroeconomic variables is essential for understanding how the economy works. The behavior of economic variables such as total income, output, employment, and the overall price level in the economy are all tied to the main economic concerns. Macroeconomic variable analysis. The study of macroeconomic variables is essential for understanding how the economy works. The behavior of economic variables such as total income, output, employment, the overall price levels in the economy are tied to the main economic concerns. And also the employment status. Macroeconomic is a branch of economics that studies the overall level of employment and output in a given economy. So, in the macroeconomics, overall employment and output in a given economy we need to study. Next, wherever the macroeconomic applications takes place while calculating the gross domestic product. For example, while calculating the GDP, what is mean the GDP? GDP shows its overall economic performance, also known as country's total income, is a GDP. National income in economic terms is the total monetary worth of all final goods and services generated in an economy over the course of a year. That is national income. National Income Committee definition. A national estimate counts the total number of goods and services produced in a given period without duplication. Next, savings. It is the portion of one's income placed aside to meet future requirements while forsaking current consumption. To put it in another way, saving is the portion of one's income that is not now spent on consumption. So, next let's do in economic terms, it is the total monetary worth of all final goods and services generated in an economy over the course of a year. National Income Committee definition. A national estimates counts the total number of goods and services produced in a given period without duplication. Next, savings. It is the portion of one's income placed aside to meet future requirements while forsaking current consumption. To put it in another way, saving is the portion of one's income that is now spent on consumption. Next, investment refers to the acquisition of capital assets such as machinery and equipment through the mobilization of savings. Next, business cycles. Business variations are known as trade cycles. In terms of total economic activity, there are ups and downs. Inflationary and deflationary swings are referred to as ups and downs respectively. Next, economic growth. Economic growth has a quantitative aspect to it. Simply said, economic growth refers to an increase in a country's real national income over a long period of time. Economic growth has a quantitative aspect to it. Simply said, economic growth refers to an increase in a country's real national income over a long period of time. Next, economic development. This is a more general term with a qualitative component. Economic development entails both economic growth and gradual improvements in a key factors that influence people's well-being, such as education, health, and so on. This is a more general term with a qualitative component. Economic development entails both economic growth and gradual improvements in key factors that influence people's well-being, such as education, health, and so on. So, for example, which of the following recognized as the invisible hand by Adam Smith? Market and price mechanism is the invisible hand by Adam Smith. Thank you. Good evening.